Hey all, Michael Lunsford here, Citizens for New Louisiana, and here they go again. I tell you, these crazy left-wing lunatics out there are just losing their mind. This garbage came out. You can thank Michael Lunsford for this. He wants to damage and hurt all the great things about Lafayette to benefit his paycheck. And it's a picture of why the Lafayette libraries are going broke, and it's a picture of this person burning a book. Lafayette Library Millage, October the 9th. If you love libraries, please vote and please share. So I don't know what that has to do with me because we haven't taken a position on the library tax. In fact, I haven't even talked about it. We've not mentioned to you that October the 9th is a library tax coming up. And but these folks apparently want me to talk about it, so I don't mind talking about it. But the fact of the matter is, I have not taken a position, and I wasn't planning to. So, in fact, how long ago was it? A month or two ago, Danny Gillane, the interim director for Lafayette Public Library System, came and visited. I just wanted to make sure that, everything's okay. I don't need any information. He wants to get ahead of this October the 9th tax election because it's important that the library has enough revenue to survive. Now, never mind, since our visit, they're talking about, he's talking about building the Kenneth Boudreaux Memorial Library if the tax passes. This is kind of crazy. Gillane told the Library Board of Control on Monday that he is working on scenarios that would free some of the money needed to operate the Kenneth Boudreaux Memorial Library if it were built. So apparently he's still talking about doing this. I think that's a bad idea. I don't think he should be talking about this right now, but apparently, out of the abundance of the heart, the mind or the mouth speaks. So they're talking about building the Kenneth Boudreaux Memorial Library. Again, why we're doing this, because the next thing you hear is if we don't get this millage passed, we're going to have to close libraries, which is the same thing that Teresa Elberson said 3 years ago with the previous library tax debate we had, maybe even 4 years ago, that if we lose this millage, we're going to close it hasn't happened. So why are we repeating the same talking point now that we used back then? Because it didn't work last time either. So none of this makes any sense to me, but be that as it may, let's look at what I like to look at, and that is the numbers. So how much money does the library have? So I happen to have here in my handy dandy comprehensive annual financial report from the City of Lafayette. It ended October 31st, 2020, which I can't explain to you why Lafayette Consolidated Government chooses to end their budget year on Halloween, but it kind of fits. So anyway, this is almost a year old now because it is September the 6th, 7th, 8th? It's the 7th. So here it is. This is their annual financial report. It says up here, I don't know if you can see this. This is the Lafayette Public Library. See that? And then down here is the fund balance ending, and this is the actual column. Fund balance ending. $30,653,000 and change. Now, the reason it's not $40 million is because y'all voted to move $10 million out into floodwater management, which is supposed to fix some drainage issues we have here in Lafayette. That was actually done by you at the ballot. It wasn't done by the library. So previously they had $42.3 million. Had it not been for this $10 million you moved out, they would have a $40 million fund balance right now. Now, how much money did they get in? And so this is a year old, so we're going to recreate how much money we think they're going to spend this year. So let's look at this. How much money did they have in total revenue last year? That's in the actual column right here. It's $11 million and change. What is that? $738,000? Yeah. $11,738,000 and change. That's how much money they brought in last year. How much money have they spent since this book came out? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Let's go to Open Book, and I'll show you how to pull this number yourself. You can actually get this. The Comprehensive Annual Financial Report is on Lafayette Consolidated Government's website. If you go to, I think, Government, then Finance over there on the right, you can see. In fact, I'll show you that too. So let's flip over, and let me show you my computer desktop, and let's go see. Here we are. This is just your standard web browser, and I'm going to come up here. In fact, let's look first at LafayetteLA.gov, and we're going to go to the government directory here, And right here is finance management. You see that? I don't know if you can see my mouse. There you go. That is finance management right there. We're going to come here. If we scroll down, there is comprehensive annual financial reports. So you tap on that. And this is a little bit different on a phone, but you know, I try to drive on a computer so I can kind of see what I'm doing here. So then you have year ending 2020. And if you tap on that, it will take you to the comprehensive annual financial report, and this cover, whenever it loads, should look somewhat familiar. There it is. That looks, you know, a whole lot like this guy right here, doesn't it? See? It's the same thing. And if you want to find the library, it's on page 162. You can also search for library like such. It's a little slow on the browser, but it'll take you there. And you can actually click on that, and it should take you, there we go, to the library. So here we are at Lafayette Parish Public Library. There is your fund balance ending. So that's how you can recreate what we're doing right now. All right, so we're going to close this. And now, let's see, is OpenBook on here? Yes, it is. So if you come, you can also go to LafayetteLA.gov/OpenBook. It'll take you straight there. But here, back on the finance page, remember we just got the comprehensive financial report here. You can also get OpenBook. So we're going to tap on that. And how we're going to find out how much money they've spent so far this year. This is, I know it looks like the annual report, but it is the budget from last year. All right, so if we look at, it's page 263, I have marked. And I know this is going to be a little tiny in the corner for you to see, but the account number is 263-9200. I don't know if you can, that's not going to work out. 263-9200, take my word for it. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down here, budget versus actual expense data. We're going to type in up here 263, which is the library, 9200, which is the expense. Now the income is 263-0999. But you can't, the income rather, you can't get income in OpenBook right now. I asked for it. I don't know if they're working on it. It's not possible right now. So if you scroll, I don't know if you saw what I did there. I scrolled all the way to the right. And you'll notice down here is how much money they spent so far this year. Do you see that? $9,430,240.44. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our handy dandy calculator and we're going to punch in that number, 9,430,200. Let's just $250. We'll save the pennies for another day. There it is. I don't know if you see that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to divide by, it's been about 10 months. They have September and October left. So we're going to just assume, I know it's the 7th, we're just going to assume divide by 10 months is what we've had in the fiscal year so far. That is the amount of money they spend on average per month. Multiply by 12 months, and that is how much? $11,316,300. That is how much money the library should spend this year. Okay, that's just a guess, but hey, we're 10 months in. I think it's going to be pretty accurate. Now, if we go back to the annual report, and let's go ahead and flip back to the annual report. All right, so we're back on the big screen. Here we go. This is the annual report. We showed you this already. I'm just going to do a quick review. It is library $11.7 million, and they are spending how much? 11.3. Pop quiz. So they're going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. Now, instead of what was happening before, remember a few years ago when they had $42.3 million surplus, and they spent as much as they could, and they just couldn't spend it enough. Every year, another $1 million is stacking up. That's not the case anymore. We have right-sized their budget for them because they refused to roll their millage to the appropriate amount. So the voters did it for them, which is great. Now, what's going to happen if this tax fails October the 9th? So I'm glad you asked that. We happen to have here the maximum millage report. This is available on the Legislative Auditor's website for Lafayette Parish. And there's some information in here that I think is going to be interesting for most folks. Lafayette has a lot of taxes. So second page is the tax for this particular season, this October the 9th. And it is the 1.84, if you see that, mills. And the expiration dates, which I did not highlight, is 2022. You see that? So if this tax fails, it doesn't go away right away. It's not going to go away in your tax bill this year. They're actually going to, that's ready to go. That's going to happen. So, in fact, I don't even know if it's going to come up next year. That's a good question. I'll have to check on that. But the fact is, if it expires, well, it's not going to expire before they get to run another tax. They have 6 months, if you say no, to come back with something else. Now, my opinion is they should have done the 5 years. They didn't do it. I talked to a number of parish councilmen. I talked to a number of library board members. I said, don't do the 10 years. There's a trust issue. You had drag queen story time. You got people suing the library over a board appointment. You got all kinds of drama we don't need. All these I'll say friends, I think they're called supporters of the library. This kind of incendiary stuff, and literally, no pun intended, but this kind of incendiary junk turns voters off. It gets people upset, and they're going to go out and they're going to vote no because of that. Not because of me, because we're not taking a position on it. But they'll bring it back up. They'll probably maybe change it to a 5-year, but in March, April, whenever that spring tax is, it'll be back. So even if you want to make a statement, say, hey, we're not going to vote yes because we're still mad about whatever, they have another opportunity. So it's not all the libraries are going to die if you vote no on October the 9th. They'll be back. Now, I recommended the 5 years because we've got a trust issue with the library. And they said 10 years. However, we still have opportunity for accountability. Why? Because now they went to 3 taxes, they're down to 2. The second tax comes up right here. You see that? 2026. So in 4 years, it's 2021, they will bring it in 2025. 4 years from now, this tax will come back up. Are they going to build the Kenneth Boudreaux Memorial Branch? Would that upset you to find that out, that they're planning to do that? Because he talked about it. We have an opportunity. They don't have 10 years. They have 4. You can come back and say, you know what? We didn't want you to build that library. We're mad. We're not going to do it. So there is a second opportunity to knock that out. And this is the big one. This one is almost 3 mils. That would be significant, probably about $6 million a year, maybe a little bit more, $6.5 million. That would hurt. Now, again, they'll bring it in 2025, so they'll have an opportunity to come back in 2026, spring, if that were to work out. But anyway, those are the numbers. And if I had one recommendation for the library interim director, Mr. Danny Gillane, find these guys. Tell them to stop. Just tell them to go away. Tell them you're doing fine without their help because all they're doing is hurting you. All right? Well, that's it, y'all. We'll check in next time. I might be doing some more library stuff, but chances are we're going to be moving on to something a little bit more pressing. So stay tuned.